Four Seasons ultimately is a people company, because the thing that differentiates us from others is the quality of the customer experience, and the way the customer experience is so good is highly dependent on the comfort and security of the people delivering it. I'm Robert Dunnigan. I'm Senior Vice President Operations Finance for Four Seasons Hotels and Resorts. I have a dual degree in hotel management and in French literature. And that came about, I think that the academic side of my brain was driven toward the French literature and all of that. But I knew early on that I did not want to spend my life in academia. So opting into the hotel management educational program, I think, was a pragmatic step at the beginning, because I thought at least it would be a way to earn a living. And I didn't realize at the time that I actually was landing on two things that were really, really important to me and would become foundational to my entire work story. How I joined Four Seasons is really kind of an interesting story. I was working for an independent resort property in Palm Beach, Florida, and Four Seasons came in and took on management of the property. And at the time, sitting there as Director of Finance, I just assumed, well, this has been a great gig, and here comes this big company, and I'm sure they're going to bring in their own people and their own ways of doing things, so that'll be the end of that. And here we sit. I just celebrated my 30th year of service with the company. Early on, I had a stint in New York City with creative trailblazers in the hotel business who was starting up a new concept called a boutique hotel. They were able to not just stay ahead of customer trends and expectations, but I think in some ways help define them. And it was fascinating to be part of a group that was so focused on the touch and feel of the customer experience. My region, while based in Palm Beach, stretched at one point from Buenos Aires in Argentina to Washington, D.C., 2 hotels in New York, and the Georges V in Paris. The common perception is that we are owner-operator of these properties. In reality, we are the operator. So every property that we manage is someone else's asset. And that's quite challenging, because it brings a tremendous fiduciary responsibility onto all of us, and particularly those of us in finance, because every decision we make, we're doing it with someone else's asset and with someone else's money. The challenge that comes into that is that we have to be 100% sure that things that we take on are the right decisions, and we have to prove our business case over and over and over again to make sure that the economics work. The ADP people that we work with, whether it's in the US or on the global front, have been steady, strong, and solid partners that understand our business model, including the fact that we're managing businesses that are owned by others, and touching back to the need to prove out the economics of the business case, but also understanding the importance of everything that we do in the payroll cycle, from obviously the financial perspective, from the management perspective, and also, perhaps most importantly, from the employee perspective. My first contact with ADP was back when I was Director of Finance at the property in Palm Beach. And at that point, ADP was a brand name that I recognized, and it was a logo that I think was on my payslip, and that was really about everything I knew about it. As time went on and technology started to advance, particularly in the time and attendance space, we started to work with a product that ADP had in place back then called TimeSaver. Ran that and deployed it across the U.S. hotels. TimeSaver morphed into eTime. Time and attendance, payroll processing, led into the things that we have going now between all the mobile apps and integration with workforce management and all this other stuff. So it has been a relationship and a journey. It's an overused word, but it really has been a journey across many years. Has spread across properties, across functions, across geographies. With the complexity of dealing in all these different environments, with the scarcity and regulation surrounding the real estate, with development regulations around starting up a new business and everything else that goes with that, Four Seasons as operator is in place years before the construction shovels even touch the ground. So from conception of the property to opening the doors, on average, is probably a 5 to 7 year journey. And payroll is part of that journey from the first day that the first Four Seasons person arrives on site. We'll be able to pay the first person that hits the ground and do it accurately and do it on time because we've got a partner with us that understands the landscape, the regulations, and how to make that all happen. There is organic growth, and by organic growth in this context, I mean that Four Seasons acquires the management of an existing property or an existing operation. And by contrast to the 5 to 7 year journey that accompanies new construction, sometimes these transactions happen on very short notice. I think there was one a couple of years ago where we had a total of about 14 days to switch from prior operator to current operator and make sure everything was in place, including loading on employment entities and getting time and attendance in place and having employee master file data and having all that other stuff that goes with it come in place. And side by side with ADP, we've been able to make that happen. There's been more than one occasion over the course of years where we look in retrospect and I just shake my head and think, I can't believe that actually worked. We started down a road toward shared services and outsourcing about 10 years ago. And initially, I think the drivers behind it were financial in nature. And very shortly after we started to dig into it, we realized that the financial benefits had to be there, clearly, otherwise we wouldn't be undertaking such change. The financial benefits were almost a happy side effect. The real benefit lie in taking away some of the mundane work that people at our properties have to do and pick it up, standardize it, and let it be done invisibly by others so that the management teams on the ground at the property can focus on truly value-adding work, including maximizing the customer experience, including help optimize the operation for best profitability, and making sure that we have an environment that assures high degrees of employee satisfaction. So it was interesting that we started down a path looking for financial savings, which we've achieved, but we've also done a tremendous amount in allowing people to let their creativity free and also move their focus so it can be solely on value-adding aspects of work. One of the things that has helped us to be really successful in this area was the partnership with people at ADP, and they're taking the time to understand not only the underlying business model, but the specifics of each circumstance of each property and of each jurisdiction that we're operating in. As we geared up to deploy the shared services model outside North America, interestingly, one of the strongest business needs we had was also in one of the most complex business environments. And I'm talking about the hotels in France. And along with my colleagues in the EMEA region, we decided to make the Georges V Hotel, which is an iconic landmark in the center of Paris, the test case for an outsourced model within the European environment. And to be honest, we thought at the time that if we can standardize and outsource payroll in France, then the rest of Europe will be easy after that. So this took a lot of planning, thinking, blood, sweat, and tears, business case proving, change management, all of it rolled into one. And I'm really pleased to say that it went off, I won't say without a hitch, but it went off really smoothly. And I think it became a proven business case and a very good example for the rest of the company to be able to look at and really think that, well, if this can work in that location, then it can work virtually anywhere. No matter how brilliant your business case, we can't forget about the people that are actually making the business work. Four Seasons, as a people company, has always remained highly aware and highly sensitive of the impact of what we're doing as we're transforming business. One of the things that has been foundational in helping us be so successful with this is that the partnership with ADP, I think, reflects a very common approach in that area, in that from my experience over the years, caring about people and treating people nicely and fairly and equitably and everything else runs deep in the DNA of ADP as well. And knowing that the people that we're partnering with share the mindset, and that when we talk about these points, they totally get it and understand what we're talking about, has been invaluable in helping deliver really transformative change in a positive way across the system.